One day, Tung Tung was training alone in the forest near his house. Every day, he worked on his body and martial skills to get stronger. Even though he trained hard daily, Tung Tung was still the lowest level hunter among his friends. One afternoon, while Tung Tung was training in the forest, a friend named Icharina Makanova, who went by Icha, showed up. Icha came to invite Tung Tung to go on a mission. Tung Tung was torn because his team was still short on people. He didn't know whether to accept or reject Icha's offer, but after thinking it over for a bit, he figured this was a great chance to make some money if he could pull off the mission. Since his dad left, he's been the main support for his family, taking care of his mom and little sister. His mom's been sick for a long time, but they don't have enough money for treatment, so Tung Tung has to keep training and working. Determined to buy medicine for his mom. Like and subscribe to this video to help Mrs. Tung Tung. Share this video for the next episode. Yeah. After Icha met up with Tung Tung to invite him on this mission, Tung Tung hesitated because he didn't feel strong enough to go along with her. But since he's the main breadwinner for his family and really needs to buy medicine for his mom, he decided to accept Icha's offer to join the mission. The next day, Tung Tung rushed over to where the team was gathering. He was totally shocked seeing his friends' cool gear and powerful weapons. Meanwhile, Tung Tung, just wearing a regular t-shirt and his trusted wooden club, Tung Tung wasn't discouraged. He was determined to give it his all to complete this mission. Suddenly, a portal opened up, signaling that the mission was about to start. Tung Tung and his teammates stepped right into it. As soon as they entered, they were greeted by a bunch of goblins. Without hesitating, Tung Tung Perkuntung immediately attacked them with his fire punch. As everyone was busy fighting the goblins, when suddenly Tung Tung found himself facing two goblins at once. He felt scared and thought he was going to lose if he fought them alone. Since the goblins were rank C and Tung Tung was rank E, it was clear he couldn't handle them. But with strong determination and not wanting to die right there, Tung Tung tried to fight back and block some of their attacks. Unfortunately, he got hit by a pretty serious blow and couldn't hold on. To stand up again, like and subscribe to this video to save Tung Tung. Share this video for the next episode. Yeah. In the last episode, Tung Tung went on his first mission with his team. As soon as they stepped through the portal, they were greeted by a group of goblins. It turned out that Abonono Shimpazinono, Madungdung Perkuntong, and the others quickly moved in to take down those anomalies. Meanwhile, Tung Tung struggled, facing several Abonono on his own. He fought with all his might, but unfortunately, he got seriously injured in the stomach. Ballerina, who, knowing this, he tried to save Tung Tung. But unfortunately, he was also struggling because he was surrounded by some Abonono. Finally, the ballerina told Icharina to hurry and help heal Tung Tung's wounds. Icha immediately rushed to Tung Tung's side before the injury got worse. When she arrived, Icha quickly used her healing magic to heal Tung Tung's wounds. Slowly, Tung Tung started to regain consciousness, and the wound on his stomach healed, thanks to Icha's help. Icha scolded Tung Tung a little for not being careful and pushing himself too hard. Icha wasn't angry out of hatred, but because she cared and worried about Tung Tung. She didn't want anything bad to happen to him. Smiling, Tung Tung apologized to Icha for causing trouble for her and the others. Meanwhile, Madungdung, Gararam, and Ballerina had taken out all the Abonono. Madungdung then urged the others to quickly continue the mission, but Icha refused because she couldn't bear Tung Tung was badly hurt earlier. But he still wanted to keep going with the mission, because he really needed money to buy medicine for his mom. He also promised Icha that he'd be more careful from now on. On top of that, he told Icha that if they managed to finish the mission, he'd treat her to say thanks. So they decided to push on. After walking through the cave for a while, they came across a big, suspicious door. In the previous episode, Tung Tung and his buddy were walking through a cave when they came across a mysterious door. They decided to check out what was inside. Once they stepped into the room, they were surprised to find huge statues all around. Strangely, there was nothing unusual in the room, just a few big statues and one giant shark-headed statue that was the biggest of them all. As they stood there, amazed by the statues, suddenly the door slowly started closing on its own. Gararam, noticing this, immediately sent out 2 of his Viking soldiers to hold the door so it wouldn't shut. But unfortunately, his 2 Vikings were instantly knocked down by a surprise attack from behind. It turned out the attack came from the statues guarding the door. Tung Tung and the others were shocked to realize that the statues could actually move. That's when Tung Tung finally realized this room was Dungeon Tralalelo. Suddenly, Tung Tung looked at the biggest statue and its eyes lit up. The big statue started moving toward Tung Tung and the others. Tung Tung immediately shouted, "Watch out, dodge!" And boom! The statue's eyes fired a laser attack that nearly hit Tung Tung and the others. Because of the laser attack, Isha was shocked and her legs went weak and limp. Since Isha couldn't stand, Tung Tung tried to carry her to a safe place. Not yet. After hiding for a bit, the big statue started moving again, ready to stomp on Tung Tung and his friend. Since he couldn't run fast enough, Tung Tung had no choice but to throw Isha to safety. Boom! The giant statue's foot came down, crushing one of Tung Tung's legs. Suddenly, the exit door cracked open a little. Tung Tung shouted, "Hey, you guys! Get out of here and take Isha with you. There's no time." Quickly, Ballerina grabbed Isha and rushed out to call for backup. Tung Tung stayed behind inside the room, alone. What will happen to Tung Tung next? Like and subscribe to this video so Tung Tung can be safe. Share this video for the next episode. Comment if you agree that Tung Tung should get new powers. After Tung Tung and his friends got stuck in the crazy dungeon, they were suddenly attacked by those statues. Luckily, they managed to get out, but unfortunately, Tung Tung's foot got stepped on by one of the big statues, and he had to sacrifice himself to save his friends. The statues were ready to finish Tung Tung off right there. He prayed for just one more chance to live. In his final moments, everything suddenly went completely dark. It felt like he was lost in emptiness, thinking he was already dead. Suddenly, a bright blue flame appeared right in front of Tung Tung. It turned out to be Tralalelo's spirit. The spirit entered Tung Tung's soul to tell him something. Apparently, Tralalelo was given a mission by someone to find a new vessel that could take in and hold his power. Tralalelo chose Tung Tung because he believed Tung Tung's body was strong enough and worthy to handle this great power. Plus, Tung Tung had a good heart, and giving up and willingly sacrificing for others made Tralalelo even more sure about passing that power on to Tung Tung. Suddenly, a purple light appeared and merged into Tung Tung's soul. Tralalelo hoped Tung Tung would use this power for good and to protect others. Tralalelo's soul slowly faded away, and Tung Tung's soul returned to his body. Before waking up, Tung Tung saw that the power had already become part of him. Suddenly, Tung Tung fainted inside the cave, and that dungeon Tralalelo vanished mysteriously. Udin Dinan Dun, Tigroli Grapefruit Uni, and Bribicus Dicus rushed over to Tung Tung's place to save him. They didn't see any big statues around. Like the ballerina said, only Tung Tung was lying unconscious inside the cave, so they took Tung Tung out to get him healed right away. I wonder what Tung Tung's real powers are. Like and subscribe for the next episode. Don't forget to share this video if you're curious about Tung Tung's power. In the previous episode, Tralalelo was commanded by some anomaly to find the right person to inherit his powers, and Tung Tung was the one Tralalelo chose to receive this mysterious power. As soon as the power merged into Tung Tung's body, he immediately passed out inside a cave and was found by Udin, Dindin, Dun, and the others. They quickly carried Tung Tung out to get medical help right away. After 3 days in the hospital, Tung Tung still hasn't woken up. Ballerina even stopped by to check on Tung Tung to make sure he was okay. The next day, when Tung Tung was alone in that room, he suddenly woke up, looking startled as he realized he was still alive. He felt like he didn't have a single scratch on him. He woke up because he remembered what happened in the Tralalelo dungeon the day before. Then out of nowhere, a weird hologram appeared in front of him, telling him that he needed to start training his body again. Because Tung Tung, confused about what was happening to him, he ignored the order. That night, while he was asleep, Tung Tung suddenly disappeared and was taken by a dark entity to some place. He was taken there because he ignored the order and was lazy about practicing. There, he wandered around confused, looking for a way out. Tung Tung was punished by being forced to face an anomaly called Orang Utini Ananasini in the forest. Suddenly, a large figure of the anomaly appeared behind Tung Tung. It turned out to be an anomaly from the Utini people. Tung Tung was shocked when he saw it. He immediately ran as fast as he could to save himself. Unfortunately, he tripped over something halfway there and fell. The Ananas then got ready to attack Tung Tung while he was down. Suddenly, a low-level sword appeared in front of Tung Tung. It turned out to be one of Tung Tung's skills. He could store and retrieve anything saved there. Tung Tung then fought the Ananas using that sword. Tung Tung is totally overwhelmed because Ananasini is a level 10 anomaly, and Tung Tung is still just level 1. Do you think Tung Tung can handle this anomaly? Like and subscribe to help Tung Tung beat the Ananas anomaly. Share this video for the next episode.